everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 168. I hope everyone had an amazing Memorial Day weekend. I had a good one. And I want to talk about this pool party that I went to. It was a good time, don't get me wrong, but you know, I always spot something. I'm always observing something, and you know how you're at a pool party, right? You wear pool party attire. Hello? You are wearing clothing that is pool party appropriate. What I never understood is, here's the thing. I think, sure, everyone has their own insecurities. Not everyone is as comfortable with their bodies as I feel like they should be. Like, I feel like ultimately you should own your body. Like regardless if you're of a bigger size, of a teeny weeny petite size, whatever that looks like, own it. It's yours. And I just find it so interesting when I'm at a pool party and I see people around me like covered up, like straight up. And mind you, let me tell you what I was wearing. So I arrived with, initially I was thinking, okay, maybe I should wear my bathing suit underneath my clothing. But I just don't like that tightness feeling for so long. Because, with the bra, I already don't wear bras like that anyway. So wearing a swimsuit bra is a little restrictive. And it's just annoying. If I don't have to wear it until I go into the water, then I'm not going to wear it. So that's how I feel. So and especially because the drive to this party was about 35 minutes. I was not going to wear a swimsuit bra in the car. Like, what are we doing? I'll change there. So anyway, what I had on was this cotton, and cotton is actually very breathable in the heat. So it's fine. But I had this white cotton buttoned up shirt. Okay, there's more buttons to it, but I only buttoned two buttons, and my shorts, my denim shorts. Okay, cool, because I'm going to change and wear my swimsuit attire, which is a bikini, 2-piece. Like, everything's out, right? Like, aside from my pussy being out, like, and my breast being out, but like, it's a 2-piece. I don't like covering up. What does that mean, Maxine? I just don't care. I feel like ultimately, if we're in an environment where you're technically supposed to be halfway naked, then I'm going to be halfway naked throughout, right? So when I step out of the pool to walk towards the grill, I'm going to still be in my swimsuit attire. I'm not going to suddenly put on a full piece suit and walk towards the food just because I'm not in the water anymore. It's just interesting to me. There's someone I saw who had on a full, like, very nice outfit, but it was these pants and a long sleeve top, and apparently it was a swimsuit. And I'm just thinking like, oh, that's interesting. And it's really not a swimsuit. Like, there are some swimsuits where the top is a crop top, right? So you show your belly, you show your stomach, but everything else is like covered. It's a long sleeve, and it's for the most part conservative, but it's still sexy in a way if you wear a high-waisted bikini or high-waisted not underwear, but a bikini bottom. And I think she had a bikini bottom underneath the pants that she wore, but she didn't take it off. She went into the pool with it on. And it's like, okay, what do you care? What I care about is I like to look at how people are in just environments where I feel like you should just be your natural self, right? Like, just like natural, like you should just like be okay with your body. It's just so interesting to me. So yeah, she was in the water and just I don't get it. Some people were there didn't want to go in the pool or took forever to go in the pool. It was like pulling teeth. Like, oh, who's going to show their bathing suit first? Like, who's going to reveal themselves first? It's just very weird. You know, and these are the same people who, some of whom, who's very much, he acts like he's very confident himself. He's like sensual. He'll do these like poses that's like, you know, I'm that bitch type of persona. But when it comes to like really just being your full self and being that bitch, you're not, right? Like this other person who he went in the water, still got his shirt on, got a hat on, and of course you got your swim trunks, but like, take off your fucking clothes. It's just so weird to me. I just don't like. It's just as weird as I see people today wearing masks. People today still wearing gloves. People today still covering up because they're afraid of what's out there. It's just like, why are you so scary? Like, why are you so afraid? Why are you walking in fear? Just be yourself. Like, it's okay. Like, if you have a pudge, you have a pudge. This person at the party, she was you know, there's food at the party, right? As it should be. It's a pool party. You gotta have food when you're having a gathering, right? We all just finished eating. Of course, we're at a pool party, so some of us may already have like our bikinis on and our stomach is exposed. And so after you eat a meal, typically you may bloat a little. For some bodies, like not everyone's like that, but I know some people are like that. And that doesn't mean suddenly, oh my gosh, you're unhealthy, you're ugly, you're disgusting, you fat pig. Like, no, you just ate pasta. Like that's it. Like this person, she just finished eating, enjoying her meal. She's a good, like, her body's great. She's a pretty girl. And after she ate, she's like giving a disclaimer, like, oh man, my stomach's bloated, y'all. Oh my gosh, my stomach, like, she's like, oh my gosh, but she just said like my stomach is bloated and that's why it's like protruding. She's giving this explanation, and I'm thinking to myself like, huh? Who the fuck cares? Like, let me tell you a quick story. So my man was over just the other day, and I was preparing him breakfast. Okay, turkey bacon is an interesting piece of food. Let me tell you why. It's not like regular bacon. It's not like regular bacon at all. You know, with regular bacon, it easily crisps, and it crisps in the right way, and it doesn't get burnt. If you don't, well, you know, if you're starting off, if you just started cooking and you're cooking bacon, like real bacon, pork bacon, pig bacon, then you may burn it the first few times, but ultimately it's not a hard cook. With turkey bacon though, it's just weird because it looks like a tongue. Like, what is this? Anyway, I've learned to not cook my turkey bacon on the skillet because somehow, even if you put a little bit of oil or if you don't put oil, I don't know what it is, what is the trigger point, but it will pop. The turkey bacon will pop, right? And it's just like, you know, grease is random grease. I didn't know turkey bacon has grease, like natural grease. But it's like grease is popping. I got to clean up the top of the top of the microwave at the bottom of it where there's that vent. I got to clean that up because there's so much popping going on from this damn turkey bacon. I had a Power XL all-in-one appliance, which included a grill, an air fryer, a slow cook. It was amazing until it just like fell apart in less than a year. Don't have a warranty. That was a dove, but I threw that shit away. Like, I don't keep shit. Like, if I don't need it anymore, like, I'm quick to purge stuff, clothes, items. If it's of no use for me anymore, I'm throwing it away. I'll find something better. And so I'm looking into getting the Ninja Foodie, which I've been meaning to get anyway. And I think I just copped out for the other appliance because it was just in my face, and it was at that time it was inexpensive in comparison to the Ninja. But you know, I think if we just, for things like that, you just have to keep on like buying quality. which is what I'm noticing with everything in life. Like, you have to have quality stuff in order for it to last long. Okay, going back to this turkey bacon. So I decided to put the turkey bacon in the oven. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it in the oven. And I've been doing that anyway since I realized putting it on the skillet is not a good idea. And since I no longer have the Power XL all-in-one appliance, that's not an option. So I put it in the oven, and I put the timer on in the oven, and I let it be, right? Well, me and my man we're kissing, we're rubbing. It's a good time. It's a good time. And the thing is with the oven is that, you know, like, after you put it on for, like, okay, here's a timer for 20 minutes. Here's a timer for 15 minutes. However long you put it, it will let you know, hey, the time is up. It's been 15 minutes. Okay? And it will keep on buzzing if you don't get up and cancel the timer. Like, it will, like, which is really good though. You know, there's no burning down of this apartment, which is great. But it's just really annoying when, you know, he's kissing on my neck and I gotta get up and be like, oh, hold on. I gotta just stop the timer. I gotta stop the timer. Anyway, I decided, okay, well, the bacon is done. So I'm gonna take it out, but I'm gonna cover it with the aluminum foil, and then get back in bed. We're gonna continue doing what we're doing. Yay, right? But I was automatically thinking that by the time we finish, because sometimes we take a long time to kind of, anyway, which is good, which is nice, because we take our time. It's intentional. It's a good time. It's a good time. TMI. But anyway, I was thinking, like, okay, when we're done, I'm going to have to probably put it back in the oven for maybe 5 more minutes or maybe 7 minutes max to make sure that it's not cold when I serve it to him. So anyway, it's an hour later we finish, right? Okay. An hour later we finish. I take my ass off. No. Anyway, the time goes by. Okay, we, you know, wash up, whatever. I do what I said I was going to do that I said to myself that I was going to do with the turkey bacon. I put it in the oven for a few more minutes, and then the time goes off. I think I just put it only like for 5 minutes. The time goes off. I take it out the oven. Turkey bacon burnt. Turkey bacon it's not like, no, it was burnt. It was burnt. Like, there was some like non-burnt areas in it, but it just wasn't what I would have served him with. Like, I'm not proud. Like, I'm not like, I'm so happy with this meal and how it turned out. Like, but here's the thing. You know why it's burnt. You wouldn't stop hitting me from the back. Like, you know. It's not a surprise. Like, I don't have to, like, hey, I'm sorry, by the way, it got burned. You know, it's not like a surprise. We were in the middle of, you know, having fun. Of course the turkey's gonna get burnt, you know, because I decided to, like, put it back in the oven to make sure it's not cold. And anyway, the point of what I'm saying is, when I served it to him, I plated it up with other things that, you know, I know that he would like. And he ate it, was thankful, and I was happy. But in my head, I'm like, oh, this wasn't the best. Right? It wasn't the best. Out of all the meals that I've served him, I wouldn't give that top 2. But I didn't serve it to him with a disclaimer. Right? I didn't say, hey, turkey's kind of burnt. The turkey bacon's kind of burnt. You know, I put in the, like, I didn't give him no explanation. Hey, I put in the oven for 5 more minutes because I didn't want it to give it to you cold. And when it was initially done, you know, we got back to having sex, and I just didn't want to mess up. Who the fuck has time for that? Like, at that point, he's not even listening anymore. Like, okay, just give me a fucking plate, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't react like that to me, but I think he may be thinking that, like, okay, just give me the... It's not a big deal. But I say all that to say, stop giving disclaimers. Like, it's obvious. Like, we know what happened, right? You just ate a meal. Of course, your stomach is going to protrude, right? While you're wearing your bathing suit, right? I'm sorry you don't have this, like, perfect physique that don't shape into natural forms because you just finished eating a meal and your body is digesting it. Like, that's just like, I would be kind of concerned if your body didn't digest and your stomach wasn't resulting into that digestion by protruding because it's bloating. You know, so anyway, I say all that to say it's just insecurity, yo. Like, that's the end. That's the story. That's the end of it. I find it so annoying, though. And I say that because, like, okay, sure. Like, why do you care so much? Like, it's her body. If she wants her body, her choice. My body, my choice. Shut up. Stop killing kids. Sure, it's her body, her choice, right? The point of what I'm saying is, though, when it's time to be your full self, when it's time to be confident, right? That you think you're displaying the other times that I see you, right? You come off very confident and no one could tell me about me and I'm dope, da da da. Like, you come off very much like that, right? And then when it's time to really be like that, when it's time to just really just be who you are and your whole essence, you're not. You're lying. You're being deceptive right now. Like, that's what I find to be an issue. That's what I find problematic. Like, why not show your ass? We're at a fucking pool party. A couple of months ago, I was at work. A couple of months ago, only that time. No. But a couple of months ago at work, I was bombarded by two different people, two different colleagues of mine. Cool colleagues, don't get me wrong. I know I talk shit about some of them, but anyway, they came in. They came at separate times. One of them came in. He said, "Hey, is your Instagram private or is it public?" I'm like, "Oh, it's public." He said, "Oh, well, I think some of the students got wind of your Instagram and they saw a picture of you in your bikini and they were airdropping the picture around the classroom in my class one time," he said. And I'm like, okay, like, okay, yes. Oh, guilty of charge. Yes, that was me. I'm wearing a bikini. I know exactly what picture they're talking about. If you scroll down into because if you're listening, right, hey, might as well. If you scroll down to my Instagram, that this was at a time. This was when I was in my old apartment, my first apartment here in Houston. I love that apartment. It was a great time. But I love my apartment now, don't get me wrong. But anyway, I was in that apartment complex. The pool was outside. It wasn't a rooftop pool like this one here. I think I prefer a non-rooftop pool because I noticed with this rooftop pool, even though, like, okay, cool, the aesthetic is like, oh, it's rooftop, I still feel like it's just not the best because it's colder up top than it is, which is weird because don't they say, oh, heat rises? So maybe only heat rises when you're inside, when you're contained. I don't know, my theory. But anyway, this pool at my first apartment here in Houston was on the first floor, right outside, right behind a particular apartment building. And I'm there with my friend. And she's taking pictures of me because I'm like, I look fucking good. Hello, titties is tittying, okay? I'm looking good. My hair was done. It was braided up. Like, I look good, so I'm posing. And you can see my boobs. Like, of course, I'm covered as far as, like, you don't see my whole, like, you don't see my nipples, but you see the crease of my boobs, okay? Hello? Hello. Anyway, I'm looking good. So I'm taking pictures, whatever, because I'm at a pool. And at a pool, what do you wear? A bikini, right? I'm not wearing a full-on dress at a pool and going into the pool with that dress. That's the difference of what I'm making. You know how you will wear a cover-up going to a pool or a beach? That's fine. I get that. I do that too. It's just when it's time to go into the water, you take that cover-up off. Let your ass hang. Like, let it hang. Like, relax. I like being around people who can relax Relax. So what? Your stomach is protruding a little bit because you just ate a meal. That's what it's supposed to do. Why are you giving me a disclaimer? So anyway, this is one of my pictures on my Instagram, and I purposely decided to make my Instagram profile public a couple of months ago because I realized, you know what? Fuck everything else. Like, I don't necessarily want to be an influencer per se, but the point is like I have a podcast, right? I don't want my podcast page to be public and my personal page to be private. Like, what am I hiding? You know, my views are my views, my opinions are my opinions, and if you don't fuck with it, then you don't have to follow me. Like, you don't have to be on my page, you don't have to like it, you don't have, I don't want to. Anyway, I realized I was like privatizing my page because I was doing it out of fear and whatever, and I wanted those who listen to my podcast and who may not know me personally, I want them to be able to easily have access to me and see me on my personal page on Instagram if they so choose to desire to do that. So that's why I did that. It's really a business move, okay? And I'm not changing it. So anyway, I decided to make it public a couple of months ago, and as soon as I made it public, I guess students just instantly find me. And that's the thing with kids nowadays. Like, it's a different world that we're in. Me growing up as a youngin', social media wasn't a thing until like MySpace came about, until like Yahoo Messenger, AIM Messenger, stuff like that. But it wasn't a thing to look up your teachers online because, oh, you could find them on this social media profile, like the platform. Like, it wasn't a thing. So I wouldn't even care. Like, many of my teachers were older. Like, they weren't this young, vibrant pool of teachers that we have now. Like, the teachers, like the students of today have it lucky. Like, I'm serious. Like, some of these teachers are probably 2, 3, 4 years difference, age difference of the seniors in that school. I'm not saying that I condone teacher and student relationships, right? I'm talking about like over the line relationships. I'm just saying I could understand. And I'm saying this like respectfully. I don't condone, obviously, you fucking a third grader. Like, what the hell? Or raping, not fucking, because the third grader doesn't have consent. But the point is, you have fresh out of college, not even out of college. They may be doing like a fellowship in the field of teaching, and they're doing their fellowship at this school, at this real life school, right? Hands-on learning, is field, work. And wow, their student is just 2 years their junior. Of course they're fucking. What are we talking about? Like, I know of a teacher, and she wasn't like, I don't know, how would you consider her? Sometimes we don't consider some teachers like special ed teachers. I know they're teachers, but like some of them are like, okay, you're really an assistant, or you're a paraprofessional, which is like an assistant. And that's what her role was. And she looked very young, honestly. I never knew her age, and she kind of had like this stink attitude type of, I don't know, like some girls from Houston who are Houston bred have this same attitude, like very, very much unapproachable, don't smile, just look angry, always have their lashes done, but could never put on a smile. Like, okay, I'm gonna go this way. Anyway, she looked like that, and she looked awfully young. And I know I have a young look as well. That's what I get all the time. I'm not saying that to brag, but I do look young. No, but thankfully, I'm grateful for that. But I do get that as well. But when I looked at her, she looked young too. I don't know. There was something about her that just made her look young. But I'm sure she was definitely like at least 21. Anyway, she had a little something going on with the students. Okay? And he wasn't a freshman. He was a senior. And I think he was 18 at the time. I think he actually turned 18 conveniently so. And they had a relationship. It obviously wasn't public to everyone else, but there was moments I did notice that, that's interesting. Like, she was part of the special ed department, And with special education, you are focused on a particular set of students who qualify for special accommodations to make them successful in the classroom. And so one of her students was this young man who was a senior at the time, and he's a handsome fella. I'll give it to her. Look. I understand. That's all I'm saying. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying go for it. I'm not saying, hey, love is love. And I'm not saying. I'm just saying, if you're 22 and your student is 18, that 4-year difference really don't mean anything, because had you met that person outside of school, right? You happen to be at a bar, because 18-year-olds still be at bars. They have fake IDs for a reason. And you happen to meet him outside of school for the first time, and maybe you learn later on, oh my gosh, he's a student. I don't know how it started between them. But the point is that 4 years, like, we like to put like arbitrary numbers and rules upon things to justify why we shouldn't do it. Like, you shouldn't have young relationships. If you were, this age, then you shouldn't be attracted to people of an older age. Like, what? What? Huh? That's not reality. Reality is people have feelings. People are human beings, right? We have natural emotion and natural desires. And again, I'm not condoning underage relationship. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if you're a 22-year-old teacher and your student is 18, yo, this is a good time for me to have this conversation, because I have left the profession. I have decided to not return, decline my offer letter and everything. And we'll talk about that maybe another time, maybe on this episode if I feel inclined to do so. But the point is, it is what it is. How did I get to this story? I don't know. But, there was a reason why I brought this up. See, sometimes I need a co-host who could, like, keep track, or like a producer who can keep track of me. I just be going off. But I hope you guys caught the correlation, because I totally forgot it now. Going back to what I was saying originally, like, if you're at, okay, I think I remember. So yes, my colleague decided to tell me about this student and a bunch of other students who caught wind of my bikini pic. And he's saying it like, oh my gosh, are you like, ooh, what do you want me to do? I'm like, what? I don't know. Like, what the fuck? Nothing you can do about it. I'm busted. Oops. You caught me. I'm at a pool wearing a bikini. You caught me. Lock me up. What? Okay. I'm at a pool party. You wear pool party clothes. I'm at a pool. You wear a pool party. You wear pool attire. I'm not going to walk here with my head down. I'm not going to be all ashamed. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be all uncomfortable. Like these kids think you don't have a life outside of teaching them. Fuck y'all. Like, no offense. But seriously, like, I have more of a life outside of this profession. Like, I carry more of an identity outside of this profession. Please don't get it twisted. I may be Miss Morenzi to you, but I'm a freak. I'm kidding, no. But the point is, like, that is just so weird to me. Like, why do you care? Like, why do you care what people may think? Shit, why do you care what a student may think if you're wearing a bikini at a pool? So going back to the pool party that I was just at, that I did have a good time at, I'm just pointing out these observations, is that you have people, like, really insecure as fuck, and will hide that. They will disguise it with this, like, excessive appearance of, I'm confident, no one could tell me about me, I'm that bitch. Yet when it's time to really be that bitch, you're not, though. You're giving this, you're not, though. You're giving these disclaimers of why your belly is protruding, yet you just ate a meal. So what? What? Okay. Like, it's just fun and so weird. I think also when you're around, for example, for me, not to say I don't have my own insecurities. I don't. I'm kidding. No, not. Not to say that at all. Like, I mean, physically, I really don't. I don't mean to sound like a conceited person. I really don't. me to sound like that, but I do like my body. I really do appreciate it for what it is. Um, like I don't have this idea of perfection when it comes to my body. Like I think it's okay to have a bloat after, especially after you ate a meal, right? I think, or even certain times of the month. For women, you know, we're more hormonal than men, and our period affects us in different ways for different women. So maybe this month or next month I'm gonna feel more bloated than usual because my period's acting different. Like, you know, it's just like is what it is, and I don't like to have to explain that. Like, why, who the fuck are you? You know, like who, like I just don't think about things like that. I like to have fun. I like to enjoy the moment, especially for someone like me who does try her best to be on top of her anxiety management. I don't like to allow myself to not have fun when it's a great opportunity to have fun. We're at a pool party, and I love the water. I love the water. So why wouldn't I have fun? Why wouldn't I make the best out of it? You know, why wouldn't I enjoy myself? Like, I don't know. It's so weird. And I think, you know, I think some people are just like so just insecure. Like I remember I think some people are just so insecure with certain parts of their body, which is just like so strange to me. I had a college roommate who said, she never said that she doesn't like feet, but I could tell she doesn't like feet or doesn't like her own feet particularly. I never seen her feet. When I know, like, how can that be, Maxine? You lived with her. I know. That is the weird thing. As soon as she got out the shower, she had these like socks that were not like regular socks that you'll just put it on to like dry up your feet, or like there was slipper socks. That's what they were. Slipper socks. So as soon as she got out the bathroom with her robe or her towel, she wasn't barefooted. She didn't put on flip-flops. She didn't put on slides. She just had these slipper socks the whole time. Whenever we went out, or just like for whatever reason, went out to the club or went out to some spot on campus, she, even if it was a nice warm day outside, she had on shoes that was closed toed, and I don't think I even saw the back of her foot. So the back of her foot was closed toed, or closed, like. And I just noticed that. I never asked her about it because I feel like sometimes when you ask them about an insecurity, of course, it's not going to be an open conversation about it. Like, right? It's going to be met with some resistance. And I don't feel like it. Like, go ahead, be insecure about it. That's weird, but that's you, right? But that's just so weird to me. Like, some people just don't like feet. I had a student tell me the other day, talking about he doesn't like feet. He doesn't like looking at feet. He doesn't like his own feet. I don't think he doesn't like it. He just doesn't like looking at it. He doesn't like just the idea of feet. Like, it's disgusting to him. Like, you walk on the floor with feet. Like, why would I look at it? Like, why would I like it? Like, that was his mindset. Like, what are you talking? Do you not wash your feet? Some people have that mindset. Like, oh, your feet is dirty, right? Because you're walking on it. You're not walking barefooted out in the dirty, muddy floor outside, in the dirty, muddy ground outside. You're not walking in a pig pen. No, what are you talking about? And when you're outside, you're wearing shoes, right? Typically, when you, like, what? Like, let your feet be, I don't know. That's just so weird to me. Like, I hate wearing shoes, to be honest. Every time I'm sitting down, I'm taking my shoes off. Especially if I'm like under a desk, my shoes are off. I like playing with my feet. I love playing with my toes. I love when my toes are played on. I love touching toes. Well, not everyone's toes. I just touch my man's toes, and that's it's not like a weird, but like there's no other reason why I'm touching your toes if you're not someone whom I'm intimate with, right? So the point is, like, you have some people who are just so creeped out by body parts, or by like certain body parts that shouldn't be like creeped out of. You know, some people, you know, I don't want you flashing me your dick. It's not like because I'm afraid of dicks. That's rude, right? I didn't ask for that. But outside of that, um, outside of that, your feet should be fine. I'm trying to remember, why did I bring up that story of the teacher and the student? Why did I bring that up? I don't know why I brought it up. Anyway, well, speaking of teachers and teacher relationships with students, this story came on my timeline, and it's actually an old story, which is interesting. But I've heard of different variations of stories of teacher and student getting into violent physical altercations. And I'm going to just read through some of these facts about this case here. And this actually happened a couple of years ago. And as soon as the article loads, I'll tell you more about it. It's taking forever. There we go. Okay, so it's titled "Elementary Principal Under Fire for Dragging Special Needs Student Through the School by His Ankles." Now, here's what I don't like about the title already. I think that's here you go, the agenda. I feel like I should get paid. How many times I say agenda? I should get paid, not y'all. I should be the one getting paid. No, special needs student. That's put there in the title for a reason, right? To gain sympathy and to make the principal look like this awful human piece of trash, right? Basura. You know, just like, oh, you drag this incapable human being by his ankles. Now, granted, there really isn't an excuse, an explanation, a reason to justify dragging a child by his ankles. I get that. But let's look at it in the nuance, right? Because I think sometimes we don't recognize that some kids are just bad as hell. And I'm just being very blunt and honest. And it's elementary, right? I'm not talking about like high school, young adult age. Those kids are, some of them are not the greatest either, but elementary type of students, that's a different type of patience that you need. And when I started my career in teaching, I started elementary. I actually started, I did like volunteer work at a kindergarten or daycare. It was actually a daycare to get volunteer hours upon my high school graduation. So I technically started with daycare age kids. And God bless all of the daycare teachers, even kindergarten teachers, because I could not. I remember this little boy and his little girl, both of them, bad as hell. And it's like, oh, it's not the kids, right? It's their parents. It's their upbringing. You got to understand what happened to them earlier on in their life for them to be. I get that, but I also could still say, right? Remember how I always say, two things can still be true. I could also say this kid is bad as hell. Okay? This little boy would like instantly bully others, like literally physically go after other kids, would cry out, call out when things aren't done his way, had no fucking manners. And granted, this is all a reflection of his parents or whoever is caregiving to him. They obviously are failures, like, right? They failed. They did a horrible job. But this is a result of that horrible job. And so this kid is now a bad kid because of that, until the kid finally learns and, chooses to be better. But still, what still is true, the kid is bad as fuck. Okay? And I hated having to care for this kid. I'm sorry. I didn't care for the kid any less. Don't get me wrong. I didn't treat him any different when it comes to giving him his snacks and making sure he has his blanket for nap time, stuff like that. I was still treating him equally. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, some people you like, some people you don't like. And that includes kids. Like, we have to stop acting like we like all kids. Kids are human beings. Just like your neighbor who's an adult is a human being, and you may like your neighbor or you may not. That is the same for kids. Like, not all kids would you like. I don't like all kids. You think I like all of my students? Girl, I don't know. Let's just be fucking honest here. I don't. Like, and it's okay. though I may not like you, though our energy may not match, I'm still going to do my best to serve you as your teacher, right? As your caregiver for these 8 hours that I have you, in the school day. But other than that, I don't fuck with you like that. No, and I'm happy you're not my kid, right? I'm happy you're not my niece or nephew because goddamn, I hate you. Okay, so what happened? A school board in Tennessee recommended that an elementary school principal be fired this week after surveillance video showed her dragging a special needs student through the hallway by his ankles. What happened was that in the school board meeting on Thursday, board members voted 5-2 to pass a recommendation for termination for this principal, yada, yada, yada. They deemed it as unprofessional conduct. And it was unbecoming of a member of the teaching profession. It was insubordination and neglect of duty. And I feel sorry for this principal. I really do. I think a lot of things must have happened to have led her to feel like I have no choice but to drag this kid, right? Who knows the backstory? And when I read this article, there was no backstory given. Like, what happened? And some people may say, well, there's no need for a backstory. You should never. Sometimes you got to drag a kid by his ankles. What are we talking about? Yes, there is a backstory. When I was working with daycare students and you had that bully kid that I was talking about, physically assaulting other kids, making other kids cry, I wasn't talking him out of it. Hey, buddy, you need to put your hands, keep your hands to yourself. Hey, little man, that's unbecoming of a young man. No. I had to physically restrain him. I had to physically lift him from one location to the other because I need to bridge separation between students because this kid was a badass kid. And I wasn't a male teacher, obviously, but there was times when he was in the bathroom, slinging his dick around, his pee-pee around, okay, peeing on other kids, like a fucking disaster he was. But I couldn't do anything for that part. I had to have my male colleagues come in and handle that. But the point is, like, sometimes you have to be physical with these kids. Sometimes, I'm not saying you got to whip them. I'm not saying you got to throw them against a wall. But I'm saying I understand. I'm saying I get it. I'm saying, hey, shit happens. And we'll talk about it afterwards. But it's unfair that this principal got terminated. And now it's on her record. And if she wanted to continue teaching or continue in the education field at all, she is now barred from doing so. That's fucked up. Fuck this kid. Man, I just look, I think it's really fucked up. I really do. So half of the board, most of the board members agreed upon this. But the two people who did not, basically their stance was like, it's unfair that this principal got terminated. And, she was saying how she said verbatim, I think it's disgusting. And I'm sure our teachers deal with problems like this every day, have a chill down their back today, and they're looking for more jobs. What she meant was, let me go back to the beginning of that quote. She said, not one of us on this board have spoken. Oh, there we go. So she said the person who voted against firing this principal for dragging this special needs kid, this special needs student from the hallway, she said, not one of us on this board have spoken to Ms. Campbell. We don't know the background of this student. We don't know what his issues were. I think it's disgusting, and I'm sure our teachers that deal with problems like this every day have a chill down their back today, and they're looking for more jobs. And I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with it because I feel like, we're so, like, non-teachers, like people who have other jobs and who are maybe parents themselves or may not have kids, but they had this idealistic view and idea of what a teacher should be at all times. Like, a teacher should never have a bad day. A teacher should never have a bad attitude. A teacher should never have just raise his or her voice to the students. There's no justification for that, and there's no understanding for that. Like, no, spend a day, not even a full day, spend a half a day at a school, okay, and look at the environment that you're in. Okay? You can't tell me an adult, no matter how chill and relaxed and calm and collected that adult is, eventually that chill and calmness that the adult may have on the regular, that typically weans away, okay? And now you're battling with your mental health, okay? You're at this job where every day you're dealing with students. I'm not saying that's my experience. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, this is what I've seen. And this is what I have experienced in some ways. I haven't, not necessarily regularly, but I understand how a teacher could have be at his or her wits end. I can understand how it could get so explosive. You've done every other invasive method. It doesn't work. You've called and contacted their parents. Parents don't give a fuck. Ain't no parents. Parents? Who's my parent? I don't know my dad. I don't know my mom. Like, you have these cases where the parents are not active at all in their child's lives. And you have to deal with this every day. You've gotten an education to deal with this shit every day. Oh, fuck this shit, And then when you look at this case in particular, again, nowhere in this article does it show or tell or paint the story of what took place an hour or 2 hours prior to the principal deciding to drag this kid. What if this kid was physically attacking another kid? Huh? What if this kid had, I don't know, the kid was like wailing on the floor and didn't want to leave the classroom after being asked several times to leave the classroom, go to the principal's office, or Johnny, you can't lay on the floor in class. You have to sit up. You have to sit on your chair like a big boy, right? You got to talk like that to these fucking kids, but they don't know how to be respectful in return, right? So now you have this kid wailing around, distracting other students, doesn't want to get up. He knows that if he gets up and sit up and stand up, he's gonna lose, quote unquote. It's a game. It's all a fucking game, unfortunately. He's gonna lose the game, right? He gave in to what the teacher wanted. So you know what? I'm gonna be more of an asshole, and I'm gonna lay on the floor, and you're not gonna move me. You're gonna tell me anything, motherfucker. Right? Oh, I'm not? Okay. I'll drag you from the floor. That's what I think happened. They probably asked this young boy, hey, you gotta get up. Get up and walk with me. We're going to the office. Get up and walk with me. We're going to call your mom to pick you up right now. Right? And what happened instead? The kid probably did not want to get off from the floor. He's wailing around, knocking, he's using his pencil. And I'm literally making up the story right now, but this is what I think could have been the case. He's probably knocking kids' ankles with his sharp ass pencil. Right? Kids are like, ow, Johnny's hitting me again. Miss Jones, Johnny's hitting me again. Johnny don't give a fuck because he's an asshole. Right? Johnny's not listening to anybody else. He's not getting up because, again, he will lose the game. So you know what? I'm going to drag you off the floor. Oh, you don't want to get up, Johnny? Oh, you don't want to get up? Okay. I'll drag you from your ankles and we're going to go somewhere else because you're disturbing other students from their learning. No, there isn't a better way. Like, people like to say, and it's funny because at the start of the school year, I led a professional development session talking about, like, least invasive ways to rein control in your classroom, right? And you have me, the irony, right? The irony, you have me here right now talking about, I get it, because again, you can only do so much, right? You could do all of the great methods of least invasive ways to gain control and authority in your classroom that is non-combative. I get that. And most of the time, it does work. Don't get me wrong. It does work. I just think there are these outliers where you're in a situation and a student is just being a fucking dick for whatever reason. Oh, he has ADHD. Oh, well, if you stop, injecting steroids into him by way of a prescription, maybe Johnny wouldn't be wailing on the floor like that. Get our kids off of drugs, huh? Maybe he'll sit up one time and pay attention to the lesson. so that he'll understand and know how to write a constructive paragraph. Huh? Oh, but we can't because he has ADHD. And because of this diagnosis, he's now taking this prescription, which is making him tired and agitated all the time, which is why he's on the floor wailing around like a fucking dolphin. Get this kid out of my class. Drag him. Fuck this kid. And he probably has a history of violent behavior. Like, we don't talk about that. I see none of that in this article. I see no violence. I see no description of the kid. I get it's a minor, right? You can't say that, but you can still say, hey, student A has a history of violent behavior. Record with the record of yada yada yada, right? It dates back to his 7th grade year at the school, and like, I'm sure there's like, it's not some good ass kid who's getting dragged by the ankle. Typically, you may have done something to have provoked this. Maybe, huh? You ever thought about that? So screw this board. Screw the Tennessee school board. Y'all are foul for this. Fuck this job. Like, I feel like Principal Helen Campbell, the principal who dragged this young kid, I feel like she should be like, fuck this job. Fuck all of y'all. I'ma sue y'all. There has to be a case. I know it's probably hard for her to maybe find a legitimate defense that she could use in the court of law, but there has to be something. There has to be something that she could use to win money from this, because at this point her teaching career is over, if she wanted to even continue it. Her teaching career is over, and now she has to figure something else out. Nah, she gotta sue these motherfuckers. Fuck them. Fuck all of them. Fuck all of them. Okay, let's talk about LeBron James and his son. So LeBron James was his son. I don't know his son's name. I don't feel like looking it up. Who cares? Anyway, his son is of high school age, and this happened a couple of weeks ago, but I was like thinking about talking about it, but I was like, I don't know if I really care about it, but I'm just going to talk about it because I know I've talked a lot about interracial relationships or dating, and some black men seeming to go with more non-black women than they are with black women, and like the normalization of that or the pressure of that. I think that is definitely just a topic that keeps going, right? It's a continuous topic. So LeBron James' son was at his high school prom, and I don't know how old he is. I think he's probably 17 or 18. He's close to graduating high school age, so that age. Anyway, so there's this picture of him and his date, who is this blonde-eyed, fair-skinned white woman. Pretty girl, and it's a really pretty, very cute prom picture. And LeBron James' son, his sister, who's like, she has a big personality. I think she even has her own Instagram page, but she's a young girl, and she has these like interesting faces that she does, these like natural faces that shows her expression on something. And there's this photo of her, like, of a wider, how do I explain it in like photography voice? Like, you know how you have a background in a picture that's blurred out, and the forefront picture is the focus point? Anyway, that's how the picture looked like. You have the daughter, she's looking at the camera like, oh, like, look at this. The subtext really is, oh, we're pointing out the fact that LeBron James' son is going to prom with a white girl, right? And so the young girl, the daughter, LeBron James' daughter, is making a facial reaction that's funny, and that gives that subtext, while in the background you see LeBron James' son and this white girl posed and, you know, close together for this prom picture. So there's a lot of like this conversation around it, because you have LeBron James, who will talk a lot about, like, you know, Black Lives Mattering, and like, you know, being like this pro-black, and, you know, talking about black affairs, and His wife is black, or yeah, I think yeah they're married. His wife is black and all of that. So now you see his son with a non-black person, a white girl. At this point, in the stage of my life, let's just make it very personal. At this point, in this stage in my life, I am choosing to not care anymore. Like, I am choosing to not get so flustered when I see black men with white women and non-black women overall, right? So whether it's a white woman or an Armenian woman or an Hispanic woman, like at this point, okay, nigga, go ahead, do you? Like I just, it is what it is, you know. And I just feel like at this point in my life, I'm choosing peace. And because of this decision that I made internally, I don't even care to see the big deal about it. And I was even justifying it in my head like, well, look, maybe at his school, he is surrounded by a lot of white girls. Like maybe at his school, there aren't many black girls available, or maybe the few that are available, he's just, maybe they're not cute. Like maybe they're gay, maybe they're goth like, and he doesn't like goth style girls. Like I think there's like some viable reasons why he shows up with a white girl. I really do. It's not to say that there aren't black girls who aren't pretty and who aren't in a prestigious school like LeBron James' son is. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, where are they? Like, I don't, do you know where they are? Because I don't see them. I see more white girls there. I see more white girls in those types of schools. So I'm not even surprised by that. So it honestly, it's in alignment with what I would expect. Like I understand why there is more of a percentage of black men who are in an environment where it's predominantly white happen to have a white girlfriend. And it took me a long time to get to this point in my life, honestly. It really did. But once I took my own personal hate out of it, I just saw it for what it was. Like, it's about proximity. It really is. Like, you don't typically go out of your way to be with someone who just looks optically politically correct. Oh, because I'm LeBron James' son, I'm going to go to prom with a black woman. Like, what? Like, you think he's even thinking about that? Like, I don't think it's even, I don't find it intentional as far as to make the black girls all over the world feel inadequate because they see that. I just stop taking it so personal. There's a comedian that I follow on social media who I had on this podcast at like months ago. We talked about narcissism, so check that podcast out. If you know, you know. I don't, whatever, you'll find it if you really want to. But the point is, I follow her on social media, and she's very much so. And the reason why I'm not saying her name right now is because I don't want it to come off like I'm talking shit about her, so I'm not gonna say her name. But if you find out who it is based off of going back to previous episodes and finding an episode that talks about narcissism, then you got it, right? Anyway, I follow her on social media, and if you know this comedian, you know that she's very much of a, and I hate to say it, but she's like this like angry black woman trope. Like really much, she's that living representation, manifestation of an angry black woman. Like she just, of the belief that black men don't protect black women, of the belief that black men don't like black women, hate black women, like just like, it's just very strange. And it's like very visceral with her. Like it comes from her gut. And so recently she was talking about this picture of LeBron James' son and him deciding to go to prom with this white girl. And she was saying how when she was growing up, she went to a predominantly white school as well. And she said that still is not an excuse or reason why he couldn't have found a black girl to go with, because for her, she said, growing up in her predominantly white school, there was still some black guys there that she could have went to prom with, that she did go to prom with, instead of going with a white guy. And I feel like here's the thing with that, though. You have more so black women more loyal to the idea of black families, right? Of marrying a black man and having that image of where this black family, this is black love and yada yada yada. While unfortunately that is not always reciprocated. It really isn't. You know, sometimes black men who are, and I'm gonna focus it primarily on black men in predominantly white areas, they don't go out of their way. Like, they're not gonna go out of their way to find a black girl just so they can make sure black girls feel accepted by him. Like, they don't really look at it like that. Like, they really don't. And I think by nature, women are more loyal. You know, we're more loyal just naturally, but we're definitely more loyal when it comes to being committed to the idea of black love and the image of black love. And so she was making this excuse like, well, I went to a predominantly white school and I still went to prom with a black man. Okay, so like, but were you attracted to this black man? Like, wait, did you just like pick him because you was just naturally so loyal to the idea of black love and black relationships that you decided to just go with this black man even though you may not have been attracted to him? Like, what if you was more attracted to this white guy in sixth period? You know, why didn't you just go ahead and date him? Like, I think sometimes we have this pressure upon ourselves, and this is crazy for me to say this, right? Because, you know, I have been much of a black love proponent. You know, you would never catch me with a white man. Look, shit happens. I just think in this circumstance with LeBron James' son, I don't feel like it's a knock to black girls. I don't think we should put ourselves in this narrative. Like, we have nothing to do with this. And yet this comedian who, like I was just talking about, she makes it so personal. She takes everything as a dig, like, well, you know what message they're trying to show us. And you know, I'm big on recognizing the hidden agendas behind certain images that we see in the public eye, in the media. You know, I think all of that is absolutely real. Don't get me wrong. I just think sometimes we have to detach our feelings from things. And once we detach our feelings from things, we get to look at things logically, we get to look at things rationally, and we get to calm the fuck down. Just calm down. Like, if he wants to go out to prom with this white girl who he may just have a crush on, maybe he doesn't have any black girls in his class schedule, maybe he has to go out of his fucking way to meet a black girl at his school, or maybe the few that are at his school are corny as hell. Like, maybe like all those things could still be true. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, we have to stop letting this pressure from society to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to get in the way of our choices, get in the way of our personal choices. Because ultimately, if you are unhappy with whom you are laying in bed with, but hey, you did it because it looks good to society, then you're just a loser. Like, that's all I could really say. You're just a loser. Remember this guy in college, in undergrad, oh my gosh, he was like this, like a god, literally. Like, he just looked like a god, like from the mythical, like, he's a black man, but he just looked like his, I never seen a back like his before at that time. Like, I just never seen niggas like him before, like, never. And he's a black American man. Like, I just never, like, that type of caliber of a man that he was at the time, like, when I saw him, I never was exposed to that prior to seeing him. So I was just so taken aback. And when I was looking at his back one time, and he was a football player, beautiful, like, crest smile, like crest toothpaste smile, very approachable, very handsome young man. And but yeah, he's, you know, a couple years later, I like my men a little older. I don't know, I guess I have a history of older guys. I'm just now like putting two and two together. But anyway, I was a freshman. He was a junior, junior in college. And so, so he was just like very, very attractive. We started talking, and I remember he was talking about his ex. And naturally, of course, I'm assuming that he's talking about a black girl, like a black woman. And I didn't ask like, oh, is your ex? Oh, what's her ethnicity? I just automatically assumed that your ex is black. Like, what are we talking about, huh? And again, you have to keep in mind, I'm this young girl coming from Boston, whom I've only seen for the most part same race relationships. I only seen black men with black girls, and if they weren't black, then they were Cape Verdean, but even though that's still black, they don't consider themselves black. They like to other themselves, which is another whole thing. But anyway, I just assumed that he was with his ex was a black woman. I got to Facebook, because Facebook was still Facebook at the time before Instagram took over. And I got to Facebook. I'm like, oh, let me just kind of look him up, right? So I go on Facebook. I'm looking at previous pictures, and I'm seeing some pictures of him and this white girl. I'm like, oh, he's taking a picture with a fan, like, because I did remember him telling me that he was like this big time football player back in his country, no, back in his town, and I forgot where he came from, but either way, I learned that he came from a town that was mostly white. I think he actually came from Connecticut. Yeah, I want to say no, either Connecticut or Florida, but some area in Florida is I guess predominantly white. Either way, he grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly white, like literally predominantly white. So his high school, elementary years, just growing up, he was surrounded with white girls. And I'm like, okay, wait, that's not a fan. That's his ex. I was so taken aback, and instantly I had this disgust growing up against him, and I'm like, really, this nigga, he's a coon. I was so quick to have that reaction that this comedian that I was just talking about has to this day. But now looking back at it, I should have just looked at it the way that I'm looking at it now, like, well, look, it's about proximity. Like, it just is what it is. Naturally, who you see next to you, you may grow an attraction for, or you may grow a desire for, because you see that person more, right? In comparison to seeing a black girl. And it just is what it is. Like, I don't think it was an intentional, that's what I was like so quick to believe that idea of, like, oh, he's with white girls, or he only likes white girls because he hates black women and he doesn't like his mama. And I was so quick to give that assessment. Like, that was the assessment. That was the finality. You can't tell me nothing. You hate your mom. That's why you don't date black women, because you hate your mom. And it's like, no, bitch. I just grew up with a lot of white girls around me, and we just vibe, And it just is what it is. And I think I just have to, I think we all just need to detach from feeling so personally affected and attached and attacked as well. Like, oh, because this black man is dating this white woman, I'm attacked. Like, what does that have to do with you? It doesn't, right? It doesn't. So that is all, really. Like, just I think I've grown so much. Who would have known Maxine is understanding, and yeah, I'm accepting of black men dating white women. It just is what it is. Do what makes you happy. Like, at the end of the day, like, I can't be all, oh, you hate your mom. No, I just fucking know this white girl, and she happened to be nice to me, and I don't know, we just grew liking each other. It just is what it is, dog. It is what it is. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Again, I hope you had a great weekend. Continue to support this podcast by telling a friend, sharing it on social media, sharing it with your friends via text. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So check that out. Remember to leave a review on any platform that you listen to this podcast on. That surely helps my podcast. So I definitely appreciate that. I'm noticing more reviews left on Apple Podcasts. So shout out to y'all for doing that. And I'm so grateful for the reviews that you're leaving. So please make sure you are leaving a review on any of the platforms that you listen to this podcast on. And not just leave a review, but like give me, if you feel so kind to, 5 stars. And yeah, also leave a quick little comment like, oh, I love this podcast, however you want to say it. But I really appreciate everyone who's been doing that. Continue to support however you can. And if you want to check out more content, you could check out our Patreon. I keep on saying it's really just me. I try to sound so professional, like, oh, it's me. But I'm grateful again for every listen. Thank you so much. And I will check in with you guys on Friday. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.